Welcome to Breaking in the Nest. So today we're going to talk about the oh so fun topic of
marrying young. There's so much stuff going around the internet on should you, shouldn't you, things to do before you get married, things to do while you're married, all these different things, and we couldn't help but notice that all of these articles or blog posts are telling people that everyone should think this way, everyone is the same, there's only one right way to live your life, which we're not really sure. I'm not sure about that.
We don't really feel like that makes that much sense.
No.
Everybody's different.
So the point of this video is we're gonna try our best to offer you any help, offer you guys some questions to ask yourselves and some ways that you can figure out, are you ready to get married? If you are whatever age you are, it doesn't matter what age you are because everyone has a different life. And
we're definitely not here to preach young married for sure, old marriage for sure, middle-aged marriage for sure. We are here to point out that everyone's different, everyone has a different age that's right for them, and we'd like to provide some insight as to what you can possibly look at to determine what the right age is for you.
Yeah, the first thing we want to throw out there is that nobody at all can know except for you if you are ready to get married. So please don't let social media or your friends or your family sway you one way or the other, or maybe your significant other is really putting a lot of pressure on you. Remember, no one else can know but you if you're ready for marriage. So the first thing that we jotted down is, where are you in your life? Like, what are you doing now, and where do you see yourself in 5 years? And that can mean like where you want to live, or like very specific things like, have you always wanted to go to all the countries of the world, or did you picture yourself, it is a lot of countries, did you picture yourself pretty settled and like doing things you love, like figuring out your hobbies, figuring out how you can spend all your time doing the things you're interested in. Maybe you like to write. Maybe you have a profession that you're already really invested in and that's really where you want to focus your time. And
or maybe you have a profession that you're not at yet, but you need to spend a lot of time getting there and you don't feel like you could put enough time into both marriage and that.
Yeah. When we entered college, we hadn't met each other yet, and what I knew was that I wanted to graduate and get my license, and then I wanted to practice nursing. And I wasn't exactly sure where, but the longer I spent in Portland, the more I knew I wanted to stay in Portland, and that's where I wanted to do my nursing. And for you?
Yeah, it's kind of the same deal for me. I didn't have a marriage age in mind when I started college. I went there to get my engineering degree and practice engineering. At the time I started, it was going to be, you know, wherever, but I'm similar boat in that by the time as I started getting further, I decided I liked it here. I wanted to stay here in Portland. I just kind of worked out that for us, we ended up meeting each other during our freshman year of college and started dating during our sophomore year. And for us, young marriage, which was right after college, was the right thing. And we both thought about it, and we both kind of came to that conclusion that that's what was right for us. But like we've been saying before, we know that's really not necessarily right for everybody just because it was right for us.
Yeah, we have friends who met in college and started dating probably around the same time we did, and they're still dating, and that's what's right for them, and they're not even sure that marriage is where they're headed. So we're not saying like, oh, if you meet in college, then get married after you graduate. Like, no, right. That's just what we did. And yeah, and something important to know is when we were making that decision, we both knew we wanted to stay in Portland. It wasn't like I wanted to go move across the country and that would have made things complicated. It was like we both knew where we wanted to be. And
the place we wanted to be happened to be the same, which is what led us to the conclusion that marriage now, essentially at the time we were thinking about it as we were getting out of college, was the right thing.
It wasn't going to impede either of our plans. Which brings us to the next point of giving up and gaining. Like, there are things that you give up by getting married and there are things that you gain. And with our situation, we were gaining a lot more than we would be giving up. So one of the things that you could be giving up is the freedom to relocate for a job, for a hobby, and maybe you've always wanted to go live in a different climate. There's all kinds of different reasons people want to move, and we were giving up that freedom, but neither of us really wanted that freedom. So what we were gaining was a companion and a partner in life, and we could experience life together, and we could support each other as we were starting our careers, support each other as, we were entering adulthood, and we got to do that together, and that was really fun. And for some people, they like to do that on their own. You want to go out on your own, and you want to do it by yourself, and that's a totally different take on it, and that works better for some people. And we have friends who've done that, and they're so happy, and we're so happy. So definitely not one right way to do it. Picture where you've always wanted to be at this time in your life, the next year, in 5 years, and just make sure that you're not giving up on dreams that can be your reality just because you're feeling like, maybe I should just settle down now, or feeling like, maybe I'm too young to get married because I'm hearing all these things, but that's what I want. Just like make sure that you know what you want, and that you're not letting family or friends or things you read on the internet affect too much what your decisions are, because ultimately if you are trying to just fit what you think you should be doing instead of doing what you know is going to make you happy, then it can be a struggle. Something else that you sort of lose the opportunity to do when you marry someone, I mean, everyone's marriage is different, so maybe this would not affect you or your marriage, but things like trips on a whim, making sure that, things are not necessarily like asking for permission, just making sure that there isn't something planned that the two of you are going to do, or if it's going to affect like both of you, if someone takes a trip, if someone does a certain activity.
Or a lot of times it won't be something that's planned, but it'll be something like, for example, the way that she envisioned spending this day, even if it was just going to be the two of us, but we hadn't planned anything yet.
You have to sort of learn to live with the different lifestyle of a different person.
Yeah, it requires a little bit of a different mindset on my part, which is not, oh, I got this call from my buddy and he said, hey, let's go do this right now, and it's, some 8-hour activity or something. And I sometimes have to be like, you know what, let's plan that for a different day when my beautiful wife can know that that's coming and plan something else to do then.
Yeah, it's just a different reality. There's a second person that's affected by all of your actions, and that's definitely something that's sometimes hard to get used to.
I know this is going to make it sound like I'm reinforcing the ball and chain stereotype, but all that being said, it really isn't as hindering as I'm probably making it sound with the way I've been talking. I know that stereotype gets floated around a lot, but what I want to, I guess, reinforce is that isn't exactly the message I was trying to say there. It's just you have to be conscious of that other person that's there that may have something they want to do as well. But that doesn't mean you can't do things spur of the moment on a whim, or on less of a married person time frame than you'd expect. I was able to take a road trip this weekend to visit some friends. These are just guy friends from my past, and we had a really good time, and I went, and I was gone for maybe a day and a half, and it worked with both of our schedules, and some of my friends made the comment of this isn't something that we'd expect a married person to be able to do.
Yeah, that's something that people often worry about. And something to keep in mind is a lot of times if you find the right person to marry, your mindset on those types of things will most likely be similar to where, I understand that that's a totally acceptable trip for him to take. I want him to go see his friends, and that's something that's totally fine with me. Other people don't feel the same way necessarily, but you're going to be gravitating toward people who think along the same lines as you, more than likely. And if you don't, then those are like conversations that you need to be having before you get married. Like, what are the expectations?
Find all those things out before you get even engaged, I would say.
Yeah. I think a lot of people get this impression of like, oh, you can't talk about marriage while you're dating or you're gonna freak someone out. But that's like such a mistake. You have to talk about those types of things before you know whether or not you're even ready. If you have these conversations and it's freaking you out, that's a pretty good sign that you're not ready. And yeah, and but it's so important to have these conversations and figure out where the other person is, if you're on the same page, if you're on totally different, if you're in different books. It just is so important to figure out where they're coming from and what they envision married life to be before you even start thinking about making it a serious commitment with that person. Next on our list is ask yourself if there is a reason to wait. So you are dating someone and maybe you've just got engaged, or maybe you're not engaged yet but you're thinking about it and you're trying to decide, is there a reason to wait to get married? And for us, we pretty much knew, like, we wanted to get married pretty early on in our relationship. It was one of those things where we'd both dated other people and then we met each other and we started dating and it was like,
yeah,
this is like the right person for us. For me.
And me.
We found the right person. And I think like before our junior year started, it was like a pretty sure thing. And for us, had we not been in college and going through pretty rigorous programs, we may have married earlier.
Possible.
But yeah, it's definitely possible. We decided we didn't really necessarily have to have this conversation. It was like both of us sort of felt the same way and it wasn't something we had to really talk about, but it just felt right that for us personally we wanted to graduate and then get married. Like we wanted to finish this phase of our life first so then we could fully concentrate on this new phase that we were going to get to experience. And we know people who got married during college and they are happy and that was right for them. For us personally, I think we really like the fact that we were able to throw like all of our attention into our marriage and like our wedding and having like this new phase of our life, like be living together, and it was so exciting and we didn't have to worry about, oh yeah, there's schoolwork.
The other things that college was putting on our plates.
But also, it was super fun to be living our totally separate lives in college. Like, we both lived in separate houses with different roommates, and I don't think I would have wanted to miss out on that. Not that it was more important than spending time with you, but it was just like, you know, that's an experience that I really think was important.
It's a part of college that we both really enjoyed, and had we gotten married then, for us it would have been weird to be married but still living in those houses that weren't together and with other people. It would have felt like we had to like go off and get a place together with just us, which would have
been really hard financially too.
Well, yeah, that would have not worked out. But, I mean, aside from that, it would have definitely detracted from the college experience for us. So, for us, we decided that we were going to do the college experience now and then have the marriage experience after that.
Yeah.
And
that worked for us, and it may not work for you. But it's definitely something to consider. Is there a reason to wait? And for you, the reason might be something totally different. I know someone who they've been dating for 10 years, but both of them are like really just focusing on their own thing. They're engaged now. They've been engaged for a while, but one of them is in South America and she's been teaching there for like 3 years. And that's something that they wanted to do and finish before they got married. And I also know people who they got married and then they are still doing that kind of stuff. Like, you know, one person is on this side of the planet doing their own thing and the other person is here, and then they like meet up once in a while to sort of, you know, be married. But and it's great, like it works for them. So ask yourself if there is a reason to wait, because waiting isn't a bad thing.
No, not at all.
No, and it doesn't mean that you weren't serious about wanting to be with this person.
Right.